I got home from the G7 summit late last night, did not have time to put together a show, so tonight the guest is you. I'm Sheila Gunn Reid, and you're watching The Gunn Show. Avid Rebel viewers will know that Rebel News had a team of journalists at the G7 summit held in Alberta this week. Now, I was one of the team of journalists. I was also joined by my colleagues Angelica Toy and Sid Fizard. Now, they are both based in Calgary, so they had a little bit of a drive to the summit from Calgary to Banff, where the media center for the Kananaskis Summit was. But I'm like 4.5, 5 hours away. I actually spent the last 5 days living out of my holiday trailer, first in Red Deer because we were hosting a Done Getting Screwed Independence Town Hall there on the Saturday morning. It was a full day affair. And from there directly, I went to Calgary to pick up my press pass and then to Kananaskis to see what was going on, and then to Canmore to leave my holiday trailer, and then off to Banff to catch up with Sid and Angelica, who were at the media center for the G7 summit. And so we were busy, flat out, and I didn't have time to book a guest or put together a show. And I was going to do it late last night, but I drove home in a series of hailstorms. So that just didn't permit for time once I got home. But being the forward-thinking woman that I am, a few weeks ago, I put a call out for letters to Sheila because I was, once again, traveling, unable to do a show. From my home studio, I filmed that show with your letters from the very same holiday trailer. In fact, I was in Regina then for another Done Getting Screwed town hall because you pay for a show, our beloved premium subscribers, and what I'm doing doesn't matter. You're going to get it. So I filmed that one in my holiday trailer, but I still had a bank of letters, and I still have a bank of letters after I do today's show that I need to get through. So maybe one day I might even bank a show and take a day off. But I thought I would go back to the well of your letters, sit down and answer some letters this morning. So let's get into it. Jack asks, is the Alberta Republican Party created to split Conservative votes and let the NDP win the next election? I don't know. I don't think so. Like or dislike Cam Davies, the leader of the Alberta Republicans, what I do know is he is a tried and true Conservative. People might not like his style. They might not like the threat of division on the ballot. In the by-election in Olds that's coming up. You know, they're worried about a split between the UCP, the United Conservative Party, and the Alberta Republicans, who are a separatist conservative party, allowing the NDP to come up the middle. I can't ascribe motives, but I do not believe at all that the Alberta Republican Party was created to allow the NDP to win. I don't think the NDP have a hope in hell of winning in Olds. It is one of the most conservative voting ridings in this entire province. Nathan Cooper was the former UCP MLA there. He was the Speaker of the House for a very long time. And he stepped down. And that riding also, a long time ago, did elect a separatist MLA decades ago. It's a very separatist place. So if you were the Alberta Republicans wanting to test to see if the independence movement requires a party or if it is something that comes from outside the party apparatus system, I think that would be the place to test it. Right? You know, if you wanted to win a seat to send a message, why wouldn't you try to run in the riding that once upon a time, a very long time ago, elected a separatist, Western Canadian concept MLA? Right? Now, I don't know what the consequences will be of running, you know, two conservatives, one a federalist and one a separatist on the ballot will be, but I don't think the threat of the NDP winning there is real at all, and I hope I'm not wrong. Okay. V. Rubinek writes, after 10 years of an incompetent and corrupt Liberal NDP government who have created high inflation, created debt for Canadians for future generations, allowed mass immigration and fraud with the student visa programs, taking in fake asylum migrants, which are being supported by Canadian taxpayers, unaffordable housing for Canadians due to uncontrolled migration, sending taxpayers' money to Ukraine when there are more than enough problems at home in Canada that need to be addressed, electing Carney, who has a history of bad performance and is a mouthpiece for the World Economic Forum, pushing legislation to take away freedoms from Canadians, etc., etc., etc. I could go on enlisting all the reasons why the Liberals should not be running this country. But the biggest question is, what are the people of Ontario and Quebec who voted for this moron getting from this corrupt government, or are they just plain stupid? That is a question many Westerners are asking themselves right now. And look, the letter writer does preface this by saying the people who voted for Carney. So if you are in Ontario and Quebec and you didn't vote for Carney, this isn't about you. If you are a boomer who didn't vote for Carney, it's not about you. I don't get uptight when we talk about the women who elected Trudeau. I don't get offended as a woman. Look, I know my fellow species did deliver Trudeau to the Prime Minister's office a couple of times. I don't get prickly about that because I know I didn't do it. But you know, it does make you wonder how. I'm not even going to say that these folks are stupid. I think they're tribalist. And I think that many of them will just vote Liberal no matter what. And I know that conservatives are different. We're free thinkers. We don't do the groupthink thing. And that's why the conservative movement frequently fractures. Look at Alberta. Look how many times we had to blow apart our Conservative Party to put it back together and try something new. You know, the Reform broke away from the PCs, it became the Canadian Alliance, which became the Conservative Party of Canada. The Wild Rose broke away from the PCs provincially, and then they came back and it became the United Conservative Party. And now we've got the Alberta Republicans. So the beauty of conservatives is that we don't group think, but it sure helps the Liberals get reelected, doesn't it? It sure makes for a reliable voting bloc. So I guess that's the downside. Travis writes, hello, Sheila. It was nice to host your Rebel News staff at the Turvey Center in Regina. Chris Barber and Tamara Leach, then Rebel Commander Ezra Levant, City Fazard, and also the very lovely Lise. Very lovely Lise. I, as the Saskatchewanite or the Reginan, believe we are truly in peril. Trump seems to want to keep supporting Ukraine over the citizens of the USA. I don't believe that. I believe Trump is very America first. Let me keep going. And Jerusalem over the USA. I don't believe that either. I think when Trump gets involved in global dealings, it's always with the interest of Americans first. I saw a bit of a screed from J.D. Vance on X reflecting that. You go on to say, I love Trump, but something's not right. You know what? Let's just go dig up what J.D. Vance said about Trump and his recent support of Israel while Israel is in an existential battle against an increasingly potentially nuclearized Iran. J.D. Vance writes, look, I'm seeing this from the inside, and am admittedly biased toward our president and my friend, but there's lots of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. So hopefully this gives you some context about the thinking of the administration. First, the President of the United States has been amazingly consistent over the 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The President has made it very clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment. He said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the, quote, other way. Second, I have seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they have enriched uranium far above the level necessary for any civilian purpose. They have been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is hardly a right-wing organization. It is one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. And it's still another to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. I've yet to see a single good argument for why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. I've yet to see a single good pushback against the Atomic Energy Agency's findings. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. But I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue. And having seen this up close and personal, I assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus. So you can analyze that as much as you want, but I agree that Iran cannot achieve nuclear capacity. I think we can all agree on that. And if the Israelis are going to deal with it before they do, I think we should all just get out of their way. And if you unrestrain the Israeli military to do this thing, then the Americans don't have to. All right, let's keep going. James says, why is nobody talking about how the Fathers of Confederation screwed Western Canada by giving Quebec 78 seats, which takes 115,000, give or take, votes to send an MP to Ottawa. In Alberta, it takes 131,000 votes to send a member. James, I don't think nobody is talking about that. I believe that is one of the big drivers of Western separation, Western alienation. The representation in the Senate that unfairly favors the Atlantic provinces over Quebec, not Quebec, Alberta and Saskatchewan. Those are real things that people have been talking about for years. So even the fact that Alberta and Saskatchewan are separate provinces, they were initially proposed to be the province of Buffalo. At the last minute, they severed us. And one of those reasons was because we could potentially be quite powerful if we were united one day. So I disagree with your point that people aren't talking about it. I believe people are and have been for a very long time.